for the first ever Night Watch Integrator series, and where we will be discussing on-prem versus cloud security with Avigilon. And so just a couple things. As you have questions and things are happening, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat. And then a little bit about why we're doing this is to help bringing you information where, to kind of help inform you on making decisions for your security systems for your company. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my teammate, Casey Sanate. So welcome.
Hello. My name is Casey Sanate, and I'm a sales engineer here at Nightwatch. I've been with the company for more than a decade, starting as a field technician and working my way to this role. Over the years, I've seen Avigilon evolve from the leading analog to IP video transition to pioneering the next wave of cloud-based solutions with advanced and user-friendly technologies that are truly shaping the industry. Nightwatch has deployed Avigilon solutions across a wide range of facilities, from power plants and hospitals to school districts, hotels, manufacturing plants, distribution centers, and commercial offices around the globe. Our partnership has taken us far and wide, and we are excited to bring these technologies to you. I'd now like to take this time to introduce two of our Avigilon representatives who will showcase their latest advancements and insights. Please welcome Jim, Lauren, and Bernard.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate it. I'll kick off with an intro unless there was anything else that you needed to get across to the group.
No, that was it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having us, and Paige, appreciate you setting this up for the group. And my name is Bernie Potkanowitz. I am a regional sales director for Motorola Avigilon. I've been doing this about 5 years now. And I lead the group of end user facing reps for Ohio and Michigan. Jim is my counterpart, managing Ohio, Michigan too, and I'll have him explain his role before we kick into it.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. Hello, everyone. Jim Rhodes. I'm the channel director here for Motorola Solutions for Michigan and Ohio. So when I say channel is more of our integrators and our partners, such as Nightwatch. So my focus is to work closely with these guys and make sure we're collaborating, that they're up to speed on our technology, that we're helping them go to market with the right products and the right technologies. I'm a legacy Avigilon guy, so I've been with Avigilon and Motorola almost 9 years now, and seen a lot of the evolution in technology. And so today, as we talk about on-prem versus cloud, really excited because I think cloud is not new. I think we're all aware of what cloud is and some of the benefits, but what we find is that maybe people don't quite understand the application as far as where it makes the most sense, how it can help you. Is it the right fit for your business day to day? What are the advantages? Where do you consider one versus the other? So really excited about it. Many of you in your business probably use a lot of cloud applications day to day. I've been in front of people who say the only applications we use that aren't in the cloud are video and access control, which isn't uncommon. So don't be spooked by that. But we're seeing more and more demand for cloud for a lot of reasons. So look forward to helping you guys understand a little bit. And I know Bernie's going to do a lot of the presentation, but we really want to kind of answer any questions you guys might have or give you any information that you may not know already. So in the Q&A towards the end, we actually left quite a bit of time. We have some Q&A that we'll go through, but hopefully you guys provide a little bit of insight, are interactive and in the way of asking questions, so we can make sure that we clarify anything that you guys might want to know about or need more information on.
Very good. Well, I guess that's a pretty good lead in, Jim. So I'll give us a kind of a verbal agenda here, and then we'll jump into it so you can stop hearing us talk. I know we have faces for radio, certainly, but you can bear with us. So we first want to talk about, overall structure of this is going to be the differences we see in the industry from cloud to an on-premise video system. There's a couple main differences that we see. We'll talk to those. We will certainly have a Q&A towards the end, but I wanted to open up the floor briefly. If there's anything specific that's on anyone's minds, you can either throw it in the chat, or if there's anything specific that you want us to cover as we talk through this, please do it now. I'll give everyone a minute or two to kind of catch their bearings. If you want to speak out loud, great. And if there's nothing, then we will go straight to the agenda. So we'll give it a second here. Any questions or things that you would like us to lean in on? No? Okay, well, we'll keep it informal. If there's anything that you want to do or look at, by all means, please throw it in the chat as we go along here. I'm going to kill my video feed just to save a little bandwidth on my end here. We're streaming this meeting, and I'm streaming down here to what you're seeing here, which is one of our demo sites in Allen, Texas. So this is our Avigilon Alta site. So it's a little bit different than our on-premise site. This is our cloud site. Our on-premise is called Unity. I have this up because this is seemingly what the industry is moving towards. And we'll talk about some of the differences that we see and hear throughout the conversations. So three biggest things, in Jim and Casey, if there's anything you guys want to interject, please do, that we see, as driving differences. And certainly these are not the only three, but fiscal responsibility. How do you pay for this? What are we paying for, and how is it structured? So that's really one main difference. That's a quick piece we could talk to. More importantly, IT support and manageability. Is this system going to eat up all my data? Is it going to slow things down for the 4,000 Chromebooks we have in a given school district, or slow employees down on their IoT devices? So we'll talk a little bit through that and how that's set up. And then really system structure. So Avigilon's a little different in how we can go to market with a cloud platform. And we'll talk to that, and I'll kind of show you the main differences and things we pride ourselves on as far as how we can deploy this. So Jim Rhodes, anything that I missed that you want? And I saw somebody put something in the chat here while we're talking. Oh.
Yeah. So do we want to do a brief discussion to segue into showing kind of the main differences, and as far as cameras, storage? I heard you say ease of management for the IT folks in the room.
Yes, absolutely. So nothing new. We'll stick to those 3 points then. So
yep.
Fiscal responsibility and kind of how this is acquired, paid for, etc. These Alta cloud systems, and frankly, any cloud system you're going to see out there, is what I would call installment based, meaning you have a camera license or a camera, which is no different than an on-prem system, but you're paying for a license of the software. Now, the software resides on a Azure server farm. Essentially, it's in the cloud. So this software is essentially what you're paying for. Okay. We can structure that. It's typically an annual fee. However, as we deploy these, typically people pay for them up front. We can structure it however you want. I've seen, 5 up to 10 years, 3 years, but they give you the flexibility to structure that however you want. The warranty on these devices, meaning our cameras. So if I just look at a dome camera, I go to our our Ava line, which is our cloud line, is 10 years. So a little bit different than the proverbial on-prem system. I did not mean to do that, apologies. Where you see, kind of 5-year typical industry warranties. These are 10. So, if you're looking to make a 10-year decision, this is certainly something, because we will next day air the device to you. Do I see a lot of people making 10-year decisions? Not really. But I've seen it out there where, hey, we don't want to touch this again, or, let us. But typically, it's a 5-year, 3 to 5 year type of agreement. So can be paid up front, goes by license. If you need to buy a camera, you buy a camera up front on the front end deployment. Our cameras are still OnVIF compatible, even on the cloud side. So if for some reason, down the road, the relationship spoils or whatever happens, you still have OnVIF compatible cameras. A lot of other cloud companies have proprietary cameras, meaning if you stop the service, forget to pay, they have the right and do shut off your service. Now, from there, you're kind of stuck with a bunch of boat anchors on the side of your buildings, because they're geared towards their systems. Ours are still OnVIF compliant, and it's an open platform. That's important. That's one big piece that I want everybody to take away from here. There are conversations about, can we use RTSP streams, things like that. It's not a very good deployment. I will get off that. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
No, the raising the hand feature worked. I think, a few things with that is that it's simple, right? Installing a cloud camera, scanning a barcode and getting it up and online on your site is really pretty easy with a simple connection. And then as Bernie was saying, not only with cameras being open, so the Alta line cameras are open, you can use them in other systems if you opt to make a change in the future. But part of being open too is Alta in the cloud is really slick, and you can integrate a lot of different devices and features into the system. So not only is it open to be used elsewhere, but we can bring other systems and technology into Alta relatively easy. They have a whole line of sensors. You can bring those in for different temperature detection, humidity, really anything. So what's nice about a cloud-based system, it's a lot easier to integrate things through that cloud connection and cloud-based software management than a lot of on-prem systems. Now, on-prem systems too integrate pretty well, but the cloud is just a lot more flexible. It's generally easier to integrate third-party components, devices, technologies into it.
Yeah, that's a great lead in, Jim. And keep in mind, these things are dynamically changing. As I log into my cloud video software, it is always the latest and greatest version. Now, as you open it, it's no different than, as your cell phone updates every night at midnight when it's not being used, things like that. So when we kind of wrap it up on the fiscal responsibility topic, that is what you're paying for, okay? And it bleeds into kind of what Jim was talking about. There's a lot more things we can add into it because this system is hosted by Microsoft, and it is at encryption levels that are that high. We have our own encryptions, but it bleeds into, being able to support that and being able to tie different things into Jim's point. I can pull sensors in. I could pull, let me pull up another screen here before I do that and get myself all lost. There's a sensor here. I just pulled it out. This is a flex break room. This is a halo sensor. There's another one down here. I'll pull this one out. This is just a picture of it. These are live feeds into it, but we can ingest PoE sensors where I can see air quality, things like that on the fly But more importantly, say I have a water sensor or something like that within a boiler room, whatever it may be, easily incorporated into the system, connected through the network, and talks to each other through the cloud. We make that connection. Maybe the water sensor goes off on Sunday when nobody's there. We pull it up on it's the boiler room, and it's, oh, John dropped his coffee on the sensor. No big deal. Don't need to. Or holy cow, we have a pipe blowing out in the boiler room. We need to send somebody there now. It's those types of things that you'll be able to, we can do the same with speakers, talk downs, things like that. Again, all things that can be incorporated into, most of which can be incorporated into enterprise on-prem systems. This makes it a ton easier. Running into the IT support. Any questions before I move on? Because that's bleeding me right into my next topic. No? Great. Okay. So we talked a little bit about, more and more of these conversations still happen with security professionals, directors of security all day long. More and more, if not always, the IT team is involved from the front end. When we start talking about cloud and things like that, and it used to be a cybersecurity conversation, but now it's really about, since it's encrypted and we've come full circle on those things, it's more now about how do we manage this? How do you make it easier for my team to manage this video? Because I will tell you what, going to 150 computers and updating thick clients, updating firmwares, etc., is really getting old. And oh, by the way, every 4 months you guys release a new version of the software, and then I got to go and download the server software, etc. We've made that a lot easier on our on-prem side. It's one download, one package, it updates everything, but you still have to do it. Here, that's not a piece. Everything is here, it's managed, and you manage the people in the system. It's as easy as this. When I log in, these are my options. I can go to devices. Sorry about that. And we can add devices in here. I can search for devices. All of my devices in the system are in here. Here's my access control devices, my sensors, my speakers, all of my cameras, what's active, what's not active. I can go into system setup. I can see this is where I can control all of everything that's pointed to the system. We can look at deployment settings. They limit me a little bit in here because I would be the one to get in here to screw all this thing up. But everything is within 2 clicks away. That's how they built this. And if you want to go in and edit users, here we go. We go into individual users, we can search them. Now, the only difference I have is this DMP, this access denied. Adding a user, there's a plus button up here that we can add a user. That's how simple it is. We also have, LDAP lookup, AD integrations, things like that. Nothing changes there. But the point being, for this to be managed, it's very simple with a few clicks. Jim, anything I'm missing here? And please put your hand down. You're giving me anxiety.
I don't know how to do it.
I think you got to click them.
I did, man. No, I think in the end, we'll kind of get back to some of the security benefits, bandwidth, storage, all of that. But unless you want to pause for that, or just we'll touch it again at the end.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Come back to the Q&A session after that. Okay. If anybody has questions on management, site setup, things like that, please bring it up. We can look into it. But that's a big driving difference. How do I manage the users and how do I manage the people? And it's as simple as, we create this instance for you. We pull your users in, whether again it's from AD or and we go from there. They get their access credentials. They can log in, web page, app, however they want to access it. Users are unlimited in that regard.
Yeah, I think what's important to understand too is all of this is managed through a browser, right? So if you have internet connection, you can manage, depending on permissions, obviously, you can manage your users from anywhere. So the nice part about a cloud system is accessing it from any device, wherever you are, to manage that. And as you set this up, the users can access it from anywhere. So the convenience part of it, obviously, I think people think in the cloud, like, not literally, but it's just up there and out there somewhere. But it's redundant. So we use, obviously Azure, and they have redundancies built within their data centers, right? So if you have issues, it'll automatically default to the local closest data center. But if there's issues at that data center or something's been compromised, it automatically fails over and is redundant to another Azure data center. So as you talk about reliability and functionality, that's where that comes from, and a bit more predictable for your business that they already account for. We already account for the built-in failover and redundancy across large data centers where it's hosted. And Bernie mentioned, you have your own instance for your business. Literally, it is yours and yours alone to manage and access. So we don't share instances or space in the cloud. Each and every time a new customer comes on board, they have their own instance built and provided for them. So you don't ever have to worry about, passwords. Well, you do have to manage your passwords. Obviously, that's one of the most vulnerable points in a system like this, but it's not interchangeable or universal across many sites. There are no universal passwords or administrator credentials that people could get in somehow and access multiple sites or customers. It is your own individually, so it's extremely secure.
Correct, Casey.
Yeah. I like where this discussion is going. We're getting very technical, and I think one of the things that I think a lot of people might have a question about is in regards to storage space. When we think about storage on a traditional on-prem system versus a storage space on a cloud system, how does that work between the two? I think, as an integrator, we love the fact that the cloud has all storage on the cameras. That kind of creates a scenario where you have infinite scalability, if that makes sense, and you don't have to worry about your servers, and as we know, servers have a life expectancy of anywhere between 5 and 8 years. Mm-hmm. So,
life cycle management, right? We love that.
Exactly. So, eventually you're going to have to replace those servers due to wear and tear and everything. So, and not only that, but servers typically come out with a 3-year warranty that you can expand, whereas each one of these cameras already have that 10-year warranty. So, if your storage fails or this, that, or the other, it's kind of one of those instances where, that would be hardware failure and you can replace your camera. I think, maybe comparing the storage and things like that might be a topic here.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm gonna finish with this, just the last couple updates within the system, things that are, glaringly different, and then I'm gonna go into kind of that system structure or build, if you will. I wanted to spend some time on that because I think that's important. So let me dig through this, and then I'll get right back to that question, Casey. That's perfect. So,
okay.
Here's things like this that are happening constantly and being released is a map sphere. Yes, we do have this in our on-premise, our Unity based. It is not nearly as dynamic as what you are seeing here. Simply because we have, our on-prem system, we can ingest some sensors. We do have access control integration. The map doesn't allow you to quick on a keypad reader and unlock a door. like it does in here. Okay, so this is the front door of the building that you'll see here in a second. I have full access. I can have a conversation with these folks. Again, I can do this through on-prem. It is a lot more difficult to have that come through. I can grant access to the door here, and you'll see that there the operator access to the door. So it's been opened. I should probably lock that back up. There we go. I have an AED in here. I have different sensors. Again, that brake flex room that's going to show me. So I have a full dynamic live view of what's going on. And customers, you guys have the ability to adjust this, but customers ask us to build this and help them with the flow. And that's where, Casey's team and our team can be pretty effective. You are even seeing things moving within shots. I can click on somebody and it will take me right to that individual wherever they are. So it's hard to see, but there's a person sitting right there that I picked up. Let me go to a let me pick over here. The person sitting here, and there they are. It takes you to that person. As they move, it will follow them. Here's an individual that's walking. These people are moving throughout so I can see what's going on. There she is. Now the camera shot will follow her as she goes around. So things like that. Here's an alarm. If I click on the flex break room, it's an open alarm. Now somebody put an alarm in here for loitering within the break room, which is hilarious. So, but it's a demo site. People are constantly loitering in the break room. However, it does a nice job of showing that. So we build complete views and structures of organizations to be able to give them, what they need to see, whether it's, for security purposes, for flow reasons, things like that. So that's a big main difference driver. We can still do all the search functionalities, things like that. I want to note that, like, as I click on this map, I can go right into a search here, hit pause, and I can go search for this individual. And now you see what's happening. We start picking him up all over the place. And as I hit plus, we can build a timeline of this individual, wherever he was. Now this is a appearance search, so it's giving me like images, but we're picking him up all over the place. It's going to, again, go out through your entire network of cameras. And now I got a timeline of this individual from 12:57 to 30, so 3 minutes. Probably looks like he's leaving the warehouse, going into the break room. What's cool about this is, maybe I don't know if this is him. I can hit play video. It'll show me the video. So that's not our guy, but it also shows us on the map which camera it is and where they are. I can hover over shots. It will play it dynamically. Is this our person? No. Is this our person? I don't know. You see them walking around. As you guys seeing that play? It's slow, but yep, there she is coming around the corner. So all of these different functionalities that are, make appearance searching and make quick searching a lot faster. Here's a huge difference. And then I'm going to get on to Casey's topic. Sharing. On-prem, sure, we can, we can download it, send it to a shared cloud drive. People can access it. You still have to download the player with it. Works great most of the time. But you're limited to, the native format the video was recorded in is the only court submissible video footage. So we got to download that. We have to send the player with it, put it on a thumb drive, whatever it may be. Cloud just takes it to the next level. I can hit share. I can export it. I can make a bookmark like I always do. I click this external link. I can name it, put a description in here. How long do you want it available for? You can even password protect it, because every time I send something to Casey, he loses it and then it ends up on the YouTube national news. So I send this clip to him and text him the password. Kind of a dual authentication piece. I'm going to throw this in the chat. And if I haven't put you to sleep, go ahead and click on this link. And that'll look at the video that we just viewed. So I'll do it here. I'll just go into another, just going to paste the link in that it created. And what it does is it takes you, this is our player. It automatically happens. It lines it up time format, tracks the individual, from the time. You still have the ability to zoom in, zoom out. It's as quick as that. The police ask for, they want your video, whatever it is. Great. What encrypted email address can I send this to? Here's your link. Done. So another big driver, another difference. And anybody on the call can click on that, certainly. Okay. Any other questions on the system before I get into probably the most important piece in the questions I hear most, which is kind of around system structure? Oops. No? Okay. So cloud is a little different in how it uses data. The data's got to get to the cloud somehow on most systems. Every cloud system records to the camera. There's onboard storage on the camera that, and there's a chipset, and the BIOS is driven towards being able to send that data up to a cloud instance. We have the exact same technology, no different. Where we're different is a huge driving force for us, in that, why would I go up to the cloud to pull this footage down if I'm on the network and the data's on the network? Novel question. Well, we figured out a way to answer it. We have a piece called Smart Path, which significantly cuts down on bandwidth. Okay. If you are on the network or tunneled into the network, the software is smart enough to say, hey, if I'm looking at video footage on, this camera, and I'm on the network, it knows that it routes you directly to the camera storage rather than going up to the cloud to view that footage. Okay, so I'll say that again. If I'm on the network on our system, it routes you directly to the storage on the camera, not to the cloud to pull the video down. The reason for that, and this is going to bleed into what Casey was talking about, is because most cloud systems, as you upload it to the cloud, it has to compress it. It has to compress the data, and it does the same coming down. So you are not getting a full high definition view of the recorded video and how it was recorded. If you look at a live footage on most of these cloud systems and compare it to what, now it's still high def, it's still 1080, but it's not your 4K or 8K, what the actual device was recording it at. So keep that in mind. So being able to route directly to the storage on the camera allows us to get that footage. Now, we are still cloud. With any cloud deployment, you have a 30-day cloud backup that comes free with the system. So yes, right now, as I'm viewing this, this was 5 minutes ago. This would, now I'm not on the network, so this is coming down from the cloud, but if you are on the network, we would not be coming down from the cloud. This would be coming directly from the camera. Okay. How we build that is you tell us, as no different than what we would do on the on-premise side, is we need 30, 60, 90, 120 days of storage. We have the camera specified to guarantee that you get 30, 60, 90 days of storage with the onboard storage. So we kind of gear it that way. Now, you do not have to use the cloud backup. It doesn't have to be turned on. So essentially, and if I'm confusing people, please jump in. Yes, this is a cloud system because we're using a cloud connection point to give you this VMS, but it doesn't have to be stored in the cloud. It can be stored on the cameras on your network. If you want to turn the cloud backup on, we certainly can do that as a backup, or for, if there's people that access it all the time that don't get on the network, we can do that. We will set scheduled times to do so, in order to, we don't want to flood, pipes, things like that. Some people don't have an issue. We have, 10 up, 10 down, dark fire, but some people, it's, school districts in particular are very sensitive to that because the IT team's been given, hey, here's what you got. And then everybody's saying, oh, we're going to have like 9,000 Chromebooks next year and 50 cameras, and we're going to put these fancy new, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, slow down. So the point being, yes, it's structured the same way, but the software is smart enough to know and cut down on the bandwidth when you're there. There's no latency because I'm on the network. I'm logging directly into the camera if that makes sense. Any questions on that? A little confusing. It's not to me, but sometimes when I explain it, it doesn't come out the best. So any concerns, questions, I can revisit that. Paige, it looks like you have a question.
I mean, I think it's time for Q&A then, if you're asking for questions. So one of the questions that might be top of mind for people as you've been walking through this is, how does cloud hosting impact video storage costs compared to on-premises?
So cloud storage to on-prem. So on-prem obviously requires a local server. We call it an NVR. Those are often the priciest components. Cameras, as you build out a system and you have many cameras, that becomes a higher cost, the licensing, but primarily it's that on-premise storage unit. So you put it in a data center, closet where your network equipment is. That is the priciest component. Now, you could argue the way the cloud storage works, as Bernie explains, is if you buy a native cloud system with Alta, it's a brand new install. The 30 days of storage is done at the camera, a lot of the analytics. The cloud piece is, serves as a management piece, a connectivity piece. The nice part with on-camera storage too is if you lose your network connection to the camera, the camera from the camera to the switch that connects to the cloud, if you lose that connection, the camera is still going to be powered up and still store the video locally. On-prem, if you have an on-prem storage or server and the connectivity goes down between the camera and the server, you lose that video feed, you lose the recorded video from the camera. There is you can install backup, cards on the camera, but longer term too, what's nice about cloud storage is the flexibility, right? So you store at the camera for a certain amount of time, but then you can designate, as Bernie also talked, backing it up, whether it's a handful a night, you send the video to the cloud for backup storage. And really, at that point, there's an infinite amount of storage you could do, because that camera video storage is then being pushed to the cloud through a cloud connection, the internet, the on-prem switches, whatever gear you're using, will then connect to the internet and the cloud. And so if you want to do a backup overnight, you can literally just scale to your regulatory needs or your in-house specifications and requirements. Now, it's pretty comparable cost as you go longer term, right? But up front, you save a lot in that you don't have that big CapEx investment with the storage unit and server. And, it's more cost effective longer term to store at the camera and push to the cloud because of, number one, like the server cost. So there's a server cost, but then as we talked a little bit too, is you got to continue to maintain and update the server, the Windows, the other applications running on the server, the video management software. There's a lot of components to manage on an on-prem storage unit, whereas with this cloud system, it pushes updates automatically overnight or however you schedule them. So there's a cost to buy the server, and then there's a cost to manage the server. You get rid of all of those costs with the cloud solution.
And I'll give you a quick answer to that page. So, not that yours wasn't, Jim, but so if we're not talking about numbers, strictly from the manufacturer, but these are conversations we have every day. An on-prem system's a one-time fee. You pay for it, it's yours. There's no upgrade fees, things like that. Cloud, you're right. It does impact how you're paying for storage. However, if you are, say this is a 10, 12-year decision, we know for a fact our business is not going to change. This is what we're doing, bam. You would probably be more responsible to do an on-premise system. Because once you get to year 4 or 5, yes, that's when on-premise becomes a little more financially attractive. But in year 4 or 5, back to Casey's point, what's happening to the servers? What's happening to the cameras? Do we need to upgrade? Our business has changed. So are we, at year 5 and 6, are we revisiting it anyhow? So it's kind of a gamble of, not a gamble, it's kind of how your business model works. You want to pay for it, 5 years up front, annually, however you want to do that. But if it's going to be a quick, this is a 1 or 2, or 3-year decision, God forbid, I hope you don't do that every 3 years, but I would probably stay away from on-prem. This just makes it a lot easier to deploy, certainly.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Casey.
I was going to say, I'd like to add to that. One of the things that we run into in service a lot is as these aging servers are, hitting their point, they start seeing drive failure more commonly. One of the places where the cloud kind of comes in and helps you with that is, drive failure kind of means that your server is down. You do have RAID 6 and everything like that, and a lot of your drives are copied and so on and so forth. But you're kind of left without a server at that point until that drive is replaced. The beauty of the cloud is, if you're having problems with one of your cameras, it's only that one camera that you're having a problem with. The rest of the cameras can still record, can still upload to the cloud, so on and so forth. I think that's a very powerful tool, especially for when you start thinking about hospitals and schools and maybe critical infrastructure, making sure that your video is not only recording, but also having that additional 30 days to record. And I don't think that's something that we covered. These cameras have 30 days onboard storage, as well as 30-day, that license that you pay for has 30 days in the cloud. So automatically you have your redundancy, you can continue recording, and you have a lot of agility when it comes to that kind of thing, and you're not stuck with this downtime if one of your drive fails.
Well, in scaling and everything, just it becomes a lot simpler. We don't have to worry about how much storage we have, et cetera. So, next question, Paige.
Yeah, so we got one in the chat. What are the typical use cases where on-premises solutions are still preferred over cloud and vice versa?
Love that question. So, personally, I have an argument on all of them. Realistically, there are large hospital organizations that have, it's being worked through, but there were some HIPAA regulations that require on-prem storage, which ours cloud-based is in theory. So that piece is being worked through, but I see that huge deployments of thousands and thousands of cameras where you start to look at in year 2 or 3, hey, we're not redoing these 2,000 cameras in the next couple of years. In year 3.5 to 4, it's going to start costing us more to pay for the cloud. So big fiscal responsibility. But other than that, there's really it's come such a long way in the last 5 years that a lot of those arguments have kind of gone by the wayside. But yeah, there still are some folks, government. The FBI works with us globally, and they will not entertain I had a hotspot on in the Cleveland office for about 15 seconds, and they came flying in the room and caught me. Like that's how. So certainly, yeah, there still are some use cases.
So I would say if you want immediate, if you're doing a lot of video searching daily, you need, kind of quick, easy access to recorded video and forensic searching. On-prem is probably a better option. It's become as simple as there's plenty of customers that are using Avigilon Unity on site right now, and they don't want to manage the servers. It becomes resource intensive. So we've had people just flip to cloud immediately, just say, well, we'll do it. We don't really have the IT resources anymore through attrition or whatever it might be, is we don't want to manage these storage units anymore. So that's another use case I'd say. As Bernie was getting into it, so people use hybrid solutions often where, maybe initially they've got an on-prem storage solution system, and then they have a bunch of offshoots, so smaller sites, multiple buildings. They want video in place, they want to be able to access it, but they don't want to pay for a server or storage unit at each individual site and then have to manage them, update them, those sorts of things. Then they go to the cloud, they install 10 cameras, cloud connection, boom, you're online. You still have the use for the centrally located larger on-prem storage solution system, but then a lot of their offshoot sites where they don't have the resources, they don't have the access. We see a lot of that. And really, I don't know that it's a one size fits all. I think it's a discussion of, what solutions are you working towards, maybe a little bit of budget. I compare the two. If like on-prem, it's a big upfront cost, right? You buy all the cameras, the servers up front, and that's a big CapEx expense a lot. I compare it to buying a car, $50,000 car, that's a big lift for me to go out and pay cash today. But if you told me you could buy the $50,000 car and pay for it out over 5 years, I'd say, okay, I can do that. So, although, the cloud and the expenses with the cameras and the software subscription year over year is a predictable cost. And typically you can allocate it to a OpEx expense, right? That's a little more tolerable for the business, and people, yeah, okay, 50,000 out over 5 years, we can do that. Where a lot of times that significant upfront cost of a server and on-prem solution it's a little bit bigger pill to swallow. So, there's a lot of different reasons for each solution. What I'd offer is, let's sit down and discuss that, because I'm still of the mindset, I don't go into any one particular customer or market and think like, yeah, man, cloud's going to be perfect for them. I want to talk through and understand your challenges, your needs, what outcomes you're working towards, and then, let's get the right fit for you. But I will say that overall in the industry, as people are forecasting out over time, cloud is going to, probably unseat on-prem as the preferred solution longer term.
Yeah, and there's, Paige and Casey and team are good at, there's transition vehicles. I mean, Jim just mentioned, hey, we just spent so much money on cameras. They're Axis or Hanwha cameras or whatever. We've had them for 2 years. It was X number of dollars, but I'm tired of dealing with servers. There is a transition piece, like what we call cloud connector. And Paige and Casey's team are fantastic in structuring these with people. But we can take your existing cameras, put them on this cloud connector. It's essentially a Linux appliance that will then enable them to be cloud enabled. So we then, we create your instance, your cameras go into the cloud connector instead of what was formerly a server. Your switching camera, all that stuff still is good because it works. And we can then pull them into what is our VMS, apply the analytics and everything that you're seeing here. So there's a transition piece as well. Go ahead, Paige. We're running out of time here. I'm sorry.
I was going to say we're coming up short on time, so I have one more question for you. Let's see if we can knock it out before we get to the end. So one of the things that came up earlier, as you were talking about, like use cases for on-prem and cloud solutions, how does data privacy and compliance get handled in cloud-hosted environments?
You broke up a little bit. I heard it. How does Jim? Did you hear it? Go ahead. And I'll let you.
Yeah, it's basically she's asking how is it secured and data maintained, data integrity, basically the security of the system. So for those that geek out a little bit, we're ISO 27001 certified. All the data is encrypted at rest and in transit, so very secure from both sides. Data as it's going one way and back to the other. Requires end user authentication. We have two-factor authentication, so secured. Watermark video, role-based access. So, the Alta, the original Alta platform was Ava, the cloud-based solution, and the founders and creators of that platform actually have, they were in like the network security world, the IT security business. So they created this platform in mind, keeping it very, very secure. So it's encrypted both ways. As we said, we create your own instance. We're not sharing instances across customers, companies. We literally build out your own instance each and every time. So, it's pretty standard. I think people think cloud is open and accessible. It's really not. The data centers they use and the protocols in place at these massive data centers where all these things are hosted have their own security protocols and obviously, with failover and redundancy practices, it's very, very secure and reliable. So it's not something to worry about. Knock on wood, we've never had a compromise of data or integrity. So we're working hard to maintain that vote of confidence.
Okay, great. Well, with that, guess we'll end a couple minutes early. Thank you, Bernie and Jim and Casey, so much for sharing this with us, and then Jim and Bernie for talking more about on-prem versus cloud and everything associated with Avigilon and on this topic. And thank you to everyone who joined us today on this amazing webinar. And especially since this is our first one of this series, and we look forward to many more. So this webinar is recorded, so everyone will receive the link to the recording post this. You should see that in your email within a day or two. But then, yeah, thank you so much. And Jim, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just, I say this a lot and I can't believe I didn't say it, but as far as security, the two biggest vulnerabilities of system security is password protection, right? So have strong passwords and keeping your system up to date. Well, keeping your system up to date in cloud is handled by us because we push updates to you. It stays up to date without being managed. Now, password security is something you all have to have a process in place for, but takes care of one of those items, just stays up to date automatically. You don't have to worry about it management. A lot of the compromises are due to weak passwords and systems that are out of date. So keep your systems up to date.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day and week.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.